February 7th, 2024 edition of the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series brought to you by the National Urban League. I'm your host, Kenneth L. Johnson, president of the Harlem, New York-based diversity recruitment firm East Coast Executives. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. The Digital Career Success Series, DCSS, is a professional development series that helps members of our Urban League Young Professional chapters and other diverse job seekers develop new skill sets that will enhance their careers through digital platforms such as webinars, Facebook, and Instagram Live. The goal is to provide an opportunity for professional development right from one's computer. If you want more, visit nuljobsnetwork.com. Today's Digital Career Success Series, Crafting Your Digital Persona, features Miss Portia Obeng. We are glad to have you with us today. This is what we do. You know what I call this? I call this a spotlight edition because you are the sole speaker. We got the spotlight shined on you, and I want to chop it up and talk about crafting your digital persona. Portia, please tell our audience a little more about you.
Yes, thank you so much for the introduction, Kenneth. I'm happy to be here. I got to put the team on my back as the sole person speaking today. But hello, everybody. My name is Portia Obeng. I'm in Washington, D.C. I see everybody checking in. Thank you so much. We've got Ronnie from Villanova, Jacqueline from New York City. Oh, I'm going to be in New York next month, I think. We got Chicago. Somebody was from UK. We got Houston. Thank you so much for everybody for joining. But I'm a social media strategist and a LinkedIn coach. I've been on the internet for centuries, like so long. My first social media job was way back in the day in 2009. I worked for a small nonprofit. I was helping them with their social. Since then, I've worked for-profit associations, government agencies, and I've done a lot when it comes to being online. I was online before Snap, before Instagram, before Pinterest. It was just me, Facebook, and Twitter at the time, and YouTube. So I'm just here to help you and share as many gems as possible. I love to give advice to anybody who will listen. So thank you for having me.
Well, I know our audience is here to listen and learn indeed. We're excited to have you. You come highly recommended. So with that being said, we just know this is going to be a great one today. You know, our audience is one of those audiences that they love to be interactive. I know that's kind of your wheelhouse as well, so maybe we'll share a little with them. But I want to let everyone know that this session will be recorded, and probably in about a week or so, we'll put it up on the Urban League Jobs Network YouTube channel for you to view accordingly. And also, please, we'll have a Q&A at the end. You can drop your questions for Portia into the Q&A and keep that chat going. Let us know where you're from. Let us know why you're here. It's the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series. Portia, they tell me that this thing is all about mindset. So let's just jump in and talk a little bit about mindset as it relates to crafting your digital persona. Next slide, please.
Yeah, so mindset is, I tell people, well, in my business, I work with women, mostly women clients, one-on-one, with helping them with their LinkedIn profile. And then I also do corporate training as well. And then lovely sessions like this. But with the mindset, especially because I work with women, and we all know that there's just so many studies about women in terms of confidence. And I say that mindset is probably 60% of the battle when you're showing up online. It's something scary, something new, something different. You're putting yourself out there. So you're going to have to do a lot of mindset work first. And I tell people all the time, motivation is not going to show up for you. It's like a trifling person. It is not going to be there for you. So do not rely on motivation. You need systems and discipline. Okay.
Did you say like a trifling person?
It is like motivation is trifling. It's not,
Okay.
it's going to let you down about 87% of the time.
All right, so let's talk about discipline and systems. So what's that look like? Like, talk to me about what that looks like in your world.
Yeah. So in terms of showing up online and creating this great personal brand, you're going to have to do something in terms of content creation. And there's so many different forms of content creation. I mean, you can do blogs, you can do videos, you can do carousel posts. You can choose the platform of your choice. We'll talk a little bit about that later. But in terms of the content and showing up as yourself and talking about the work that you're doing, the main goal is to talk about the work that you're doing, right? So you're going to need some type of system to keep you on track. And if you've never created content before, you need to start with the brainstorming part of it. You got to spend time on the brainstorming aspect. A lot of people like to skip this and then they'll wake up and be like, well, I don't know what to post today. It was because you didn't spend time with that brainstorming aspect. So I tell people all the time, yes, you can use an AI tool like ChatGTP to help you with the brainstorming, but I recommend that you spend like 20 minutes just asking, well, responding to a couple prompts. And those prompts may be, when it comes to your career and your job, what is something that you do really well? Like take time, like 20 minutes, just write down like what is something you do really well. And then think about the things that people ask you about all the time when it comes to your career, your job. And then the next one is to think about the things that you could talk about for an hour. So those may be different things that you like to talk about for an hour. Just brainstorm, put that on a notebook, do Google Docs, in your phone, whatever it may be. Spend that time brainstorming because that's going to help you with crafting your content.
Okay, let's stay here for a sec. So, in relationship to systems, kind of understanding that piece, but you mentioned that people like to show up in different ways. You can show up through video, or you can show up just through straight content, blog posts, things of that nature. How do people kind of find out what works best for them? Is it just a matter of looking at the numbers on the back end, the metrics, or is it kind of how they feel comfortable?
Oh, that's a great question. I tell people all the time when you're starting with creating content and, developing your personal brand online, try everything, right? So I make most of my content on LinkedIn and I do a mixture of long form content, so long LinkedIn posts. See if you like doing that. See if you like creating graphics, which you can use Canva. I'm always in Canva all the time. You can use Canva to create graphics. Maybe you want to do a short post with a great graphic, or maybe you want to do long posts and a photo. Maybe you want to do articles. Maybe you want to do blog posts. Maybe you want to do carousel posts. Maybe you want to do video. Just try it and see what you like most and make that as a regular piece of content that you create. But then also you do want to look at and see what performs well. And then you want to create that content. So for me, I have like a very I have like strong systems in terms of my content creation. So once a week, every week, I post a carousel post on LinkedIn that has affirmations on it. That always performs well. It's not my favorite thing to do, but it performs well and I know it helps people. So that's something that I do regularly.
Okay. Are these affirmations that you've created or that you kind of borrowed? Like, tell me how that works for you as far as content.
Yeah, they're affirmations. Yeah, that's a great question. They're affirmations that come from a lot of my conversations with people who send me messages on LinkedIn, and it's all a part of the mindset aspect of it. So I do the affirmations for myself and also other people to help them with showing up online.
I've been doing this show for, I think this is year 4, right? And the biggest flex ever on this platform was the fact that you come on to speak about digital persona and you had the highest rating video that we've seen in DCSS history. So it just makes sense that you know what you're doing and that people are relating well to kind of the way you present it. So I can appreciate that. So you spoke a little bit about consistency. Next slide, please. So I guess that's the problem with a lot of social media. People have problems kind of fitting it into their schedule. As you look at it through the lens of professional development, how important is it to remain consistent and how do people kind of stay on track?
Yeah, that's the hardest part is that's why I say, the motivation is going to let you down at all times. You want to develop the systems and the discipline, but then a part of one of your systems is going to be putting time on your schedule to create this content. If you can just wake up and create content off the fly, more power to you. Like I said, I've been on the internet for centuries and that's not something that I can do. But in terms of how you're going to show up, you don't need to be on every single platform. I only post on 2 platforms, LinkedIn and TikTok. That's it. And I do a lot of repurposing. That's something that people also got to pay attention to. That's going to help you with your consistency. But basically, decide which platforms you're going to use and stick to it. You don't need to be on all of them. What you do need to do is make sure that you have your handle, so your name on all platforms, because that's going to help with your search engine optimization. That's going to help with your personal branding. I, for example, don't use Twitter. I still call it Twitter. So I don't use Twitter. I don't use Instagram, but I still have those handles with my name because that helps with my search engine optimization. But like I said, you don't have to be on every single platform. You don't have to post every single day, but you do have to show up as the same person every time you're posting.
You
So
know,
for
I had a conversation yesterday and it was about personal brand. And I was surprised at how many people kind of didn't understand it or didn't have a definition for it. Can you kind of tap into what that is for you and how that comes across?
Yeah, so I tell people your personal brand is whatever you're bringing to whatever organization you decide to go to. It's whatever people are saying about you that you have crafted for yourself, right? So you're not allowing people to say, oh, so for example, Portia, she's somebody who does Instagram and TikTok. No, no, no. No, I don't. I am somebody who teaches people how to gain confidence and clarity in the work that they do. And I will tell you over and over and over again online. You'll get, sometimes I feel like, oh, people get tired of me saying it, but no, I don't want people defining things for me. I'm going to tell you what I do, and I'm going to show up as the same person every single time.
Wow. So showing up as we talk about consistency. So, and I have two. This is a dual question here, right? So I was looking through the chat, and we have people that they want to know how often should they post, or how often they should post weekly, daily, what that's all about, and then if they have a business and then they have a personal, how should they manage those two pages or
Yeah.
those two accounts, should I say?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay. First and foremost, if you have a business and a job, check with your job to make sure it is okay for you to talk about your business online. That's the most important. For all social media platforms, with the exception of LinkedIn, you can definitely have a personal account and a business account. Okay. With LinkedIn, I highly recommend you only have one account, just one personal account, because if you do a Google search for your name, LinkedIn is probably going to be like one of the top three that comes up with the Google search. So for LinkedIn, only have one, but all the other social media accounts, you can have two. Now, the posting depends on which account you're on. I say if you can do LinkedIn once a week, you're perfectly fine. Most of these platforms you can do once a week, with the exception of Twitter. I'm still going to call it Twitter. With Twitter, Instagram, specifically Instagram stories, which is going to help you with your engagement. And then TikTok, you can you don't have to post as frequently, but you probably want to post more than once a week. LinkedIn, once a week, you're good to go. With Instagram, you can post on your feed once a week with a really great keyword rich caption. So you want to use those keywords from your industry, whether you're a professional or you have a business, you want to use those keywords in the caption. And then for the stories, the great thing about stories is that it helps with your engagement, but you don't have to post your own content stories, which is great. So let's say you are, let me see if y'all could do me a favor and just drop your professions in the chat, or like whatever work that you do in the chat, so I can use somebody as an example. Let's see who's the first. Okay, STEM. Okay, Maya. So we have STEM. Okay, so Maya, say there's lots of Black women in STEM who you follow on Instagram. To make things easy for yourself, you can repost their Instagram posts in your stories. That's still staying in the realm of what you're doing, what your work is doing. And if you want to even take it up another level, you can add a little comment on your Instagram stories referencing the post. So say the post is about somebody's talking about a new breakthrough in STEM. You can write on the Instagram story. I've been really excited about this work. I've been researching it for 3 years, something like that. Whatever you're doing, it's going to show and demonstrate the information and knowledge that you know. That's the main thing. That's the main point.
I love it. I love it. Let's take a deep dive here. So this conversation was originally designed and created around LinkedIn as a platform, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
know that the Digital Career Success Series, we cater to young professionals, 25 to 45, but we also are a professional development platform, and a lot of that takes place on LinkedIn. So we're going to stay on the consistency slide for a second. So I'd like to speak a little bit about LinkedIn, how people should best leverage the platform. Like, what's that consistency look like? What's the interaction in groups? Like, tell me the way that someone can get the most out of their time spent on LinkedIn.
Yeah, in terms of personal branding, for of course for a professional, LinkedIn is going to be your best bet. And for the consistency there, if you're creating content once a week to start off with, don't do more than that. And like I mentioned, you can do an article. You can, if you want to record content, you can upload videos, you can do long form posts, whatever it may be, once a week posting. That's all you need. If you want to post the same day every week, that's fine. And also try to post when people are usually online. So early in the morning, 8 a.m., 9 a.m., or maybe around lunchtime, 12 p.m., 1 p.m. And then in the evening, maybe like 6, 7 p.m. when people may be commuting home. But then your engagement is what's going to take you far on LinkedIn. So doing value-driven comments on people's posts who are in the same industry as you, or maybe in the same business, area as you, that's what's really going to get you some help. So if you can, put on your calendar 10 minutes a day, you're going to get on LinkedIn and make value-driven comments. So value-driven comments are demonstrating your knowledge of your industry. Say, for example, let me use somebody else. We have somebody who does project management. What you're going to do is you want to connect with people on LinkedIn who are well known in the project management industry. And then you're going to spend 10 minutes a day commenting on their post. And you're going to say something like, you're not going to be like, oh, wow, this is a great post. You're going to say something like, if the person has a post about a new software and project management, you're going to comment on that person's post and say, I've been really interested in this software because I've currently been using a different type of software, and some of the challenges that I've had in that are X, Y, and Z. So that demonstrates your knowledge of the industry, developing your personal brand online.
And I love it. Do you have any best practices that you can offer as it relates to engagement on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I would say the value-driven comments when you're commenting on people's posts. It used to be before 2024 with LinkedIn, you could send anybody a personalized note when you're sending them a connection request. But now LinkedIn has updated it, and you get a certain number of connection requests that you can include a personalized note with each month. So that being said, I would be very strategic about the people who you're connecting with on LinkedIn, especially if you're sending them a personalized note. You want to connect with people in your industry. LinkedIn gives you lots of recommendations for people to connect with. Comments, like I said, the value-driven comments are really going to help you a lot. I don't do a lot in terms of LinkedIn groups. Some of the groups that I'm in are not that active. I would say when it comes to LinkedIn, the activity is going to be a lot on your feed. So commenting on people's posts and interacting with people that way.
When our first conversation, I really appreciated how comfortable you were with your own brilliance. I just thought you conveyed that extremely well. And being a subject matter expert in the space, I took value in that and trusted that this would be amazing as it's been. But I see people on the LinkedIn platform speak about, they feel like it's a brag book. We'll go to the next slide because I know you're talking about people being humble, right? And what that looks like. So talk to me about kind of balancing that and people's own feelings on, how they're showing up on that platform.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I tell people all the time that humbleness is just keeping you stuck and underpaid. If you want to continue to be humble and be underpaid, that's very well, you keep doing that. But essentially, it's not bragging if you got it, right? If you're using platforms, whatever platform it might be, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, Snap, whatever it may be, if you're talking about your work, you're literally telling people what you do. Like I mentioned, you want to define and tell people what you do. You don't want people telling, you don't want people telling things about you that isn't true in terms of the work that you're doing. I tell people all the time, think about what do you want people to say about you when you're not in the room. You're going to tell them about the work that you do. You're going to tell them I do X, Y, and Z. So I'm going to use another example. Somebody here, we have somebody who's a content creator. So if you're a content creator and you create content about cooking, like cooking Southern food, right? Everywhere you show up, you're going to tell people about how you cook, you create content about cooking Southern food. You're not bragging because you're literally telling them, this is what I do. And I understand when people, specifically when they're talking about LinkedIn and they feel like it's bragging, it's typically when it comes to those posts, when people, it's like, I'm so honored and humbled to announce that I have this new job. And I was just thinking to myself the other day, like, when did this habit start of people announcing when they have new jobs on LinkedIn? I don't know when it started, but that's irrelevant. Like, that's not what you want to focus on. It's great you have a new job. You need to tell people about these results that you are delivering and these roles that you have and the things that you're doing. It is not bragging. You're literally giving people the evidence. This is evidence that you have.
So how does LinkedIn? So a lot of people often ask the question, is LinkedIn the same as your resume, or should your resume just be passed over to your LinkedIn profile as your content? Tell me about how you feel about that and how that works in your world.
Yeah, I would say that LinkedIn is not your resume. It's way more dynamic than your resume. You can have elements of your resume in your experience section on LinkedIn, and you're going to stand on the things that you've done, the results that you've delivered. I'll repeat that over and over again. That's what you're going to do, results that you deliver. But for your resume, that's completely different. You're going to use LinkedIn is going to be a very powerful tool if you are developing your personal brand as a professional or as a business owner, because you have so many aspects of your LinkedIn profile that are not available to you on your resume. For example, within the LinkedIn platform and on your profile, you can add something called a featured section, which is what I use a lot for my clients. And you can have people, if you've had any articles, any blog posts that you've written, or maybe any LinkedIn posts that have done well, or maybe if you're a business owner, if you have a lead generation magnet, you can add those to your featured section. That's not stuff that you can do on your resume. So I tell people all the time, LinkedIn is about developing your personal brand and telling people about the work that you do.
You know what? Let's use this moment. You just mentioned your clients. Let's use this moment to tell our audience about the work that you do. Let's take a deeper dive. So typically, who would your client be, and what services kind of are you offering to support and assist them with crafting their digital persona?
Yeah, so typically my clients for my one-on-one services are women who are business owners or consultants, entrepreneurs, or professional women who are in their careers and they're looking to get a new job at a completely different company or looking for a promotion within the company where they're working. And they usually come to me, and one of the things that they always say is that I want to be taken seriously on LinkedIn, and I want to be able to tell my story. A lot of times people come to me and they have all of this amazing experience, but they're just not able to tell the story. And that's going to be a really important part of developing your personal brand, is being able to take people through your career narrative, whether you're a professional or you have a business. And that's what I really help them with. I help them gain clarity and then confidence in that story. Because a lot of the times they'll come to me and they'll be like, oh, I don't really do a lot at work. But then by the time we start going through, all the things that they've done, they're like, oh, wow, like I have really made an impact. I have done a lot of work. And that's what I help them do.
Wow. So, this is interesting because last week we had Brenda Mariah and Denise Mills on, and they were speaking about resumes, right? But a big piece of that conversation was storytelling. So, with your resume document, I would imagine the story you're telling on that document would differ from the story you're sharing on LinkedIn, just because your LinkedIn story can be current, very current.
Right.
Can you talk to me about crafting a LinkedIn story that resonates, especially as you're looking for opportunities to, well, our next session is on professional pivots, right? So maybe you're looking for opportunities to pivot while we're tying three sessions together, the resume session from last week, your session, and then the future session on pivots. But how do you take storytelling to position yourself well for a pivot?
Excellent. Okay, that's an excellent question. So, in terms of storytelling, I tell people all the time, if you don't have the skill of storytelling, please learn it, because we know very well that the people who can talk really well are the ones that get the most visibility. You do not have to be the loudest, you just have to be the clearest. So, make sure you learn your story well. One thing that I do tell people, especially if you're telling your story on LinkedIn, you're going to tell people what you do, how you do it, and why you're so good at it. And in terms of pivoting, let's say you're in one career, I'll use somebody else. Let's see. So we have Des, who's a football official. Let's say, Des, you're a football official and you want to transfer to another career in, I don't know, you want to be a biochemist, right? So let's say you want to do that. What you're going to do is there's a trick that I teach people in terms of LinkedIn, where you can find the keywords that are related to your industry. But essentially, you want to find the keywords related to the industry that you desire to go into, see the keywords that are in the industry that you're in now, and then see where there's overlap, and you're going to highlight your transferable skills that way. But all of it is, again, going back to talking about the work that you do. So like, even if you're a football official, you're trying to go and be a biochemist, I promise you, there's some type of transferable skill in there. But the main goal is to confidently speak about how you are able to deliver results using that transferable skill. So being able to tell the story of how I go from point A to point B using this transferable skill from the different industries.
While we got Des here and she's a football official, we can't hide from the fact that the Super Bowl is Sunday. So Des, let us know who you got. You got San Francisco, you got the Chiefs. Anybody in the chat, go ahead and get that conversation started while Portia and I keep moving on. So Portia, all right, listen, I don't know. Are you familiar with JT O'Donnell? She works
No.
in the career space. Okay. So JT, she was a guest on a past digital career success series. She works in the career space. She has a platform called Work It Daily. It used to be Careerism, but she speaks about brand or be branded. Those are her call words, brand or be branded. You got to love that, right? I took it from her. I borrow it often, right? But we're going to go to the next slide because you're speaking about, ways to show up and building your brand. So let's talk about that from the standpoint of content ideas for sharing expertise. So help us out here in developing our professional brand and how we're showing up.
Excellent. I love that. Brand or be branded. I'm going to use that now.
Come
Yeah.
on, listen, get in line. I got it. I use it. You use it. We
Yeah.
just push it. We'll tell JT thanks later.
I love that. Thank you so much. Okay, but I do have to add my 2 cents about the Super Bowl, and I'm with Lee right there. Usher is winning the Super Bowl. I could care less about those teams.
Usher is winning the
It's
Super
Usher.
Bowl.
It's the Usher Super Bowl for me. Okay,
I'll,
that Vegas
I'll
show
take
was everything.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about a really good question you asked about the content. So I'm going to use somebody else as an example. I'm going to scroll up to these people and see, okay, spa and wellness. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so she does spa and wellness. So I'm going to use you as an example for content creation. The main thing is to determine what do you want to be known for when it comes to spa and wellness. Maybe you are the person who talks about spa experiences for Black women who are C-suite executives. Maybe that's like what you want to be known for. Therefore, when it comes to creating your content, you're going to want to choose like I said, you're going to want to choose your platform of choice. Maybe you want to use Instagram. I should have made a comment about Twitter, which I still call it Twitter, is that Twitter is the other platform where, in terms of creating content, if you're somebody who doesn't want to be on the internet all the time, because Twitter is fast, it's rapid, a lot of people always making information. You can establish yourself and your personal brand really strongly on there. There's actually a young woman, I forget her name. She calls herself the Beyonce of marketing. She's very good on Twitter. But if you don't want to be on Twitter all the time in terms of creating content, you can probably just use pop culture moments and see how you can relate that to the work that you do. So say, for example, obviously the Super Bowl is a good one. If you are in media, advertising, marketing, social media, that's a great opportunity for you to just get on Twitter and provide commentary about maybe the sponsorships, the branding, the commercials, things like that. That's what you can do for Twitter. But anyway, I'm going to go back to the spa and wellness example. So say you are the go-to person who talks about spa experiences for Black women C-suite executives. You're going to show up telling people about telling people about the work that you do on every single platform the same. Let's say you want to show up on, let's say you even want to use Pinterest. So let's say you want to show up on Pinterest. Maybe you're going to create a series of posts using Canva that explain to people the benefits of having spa treatments. How does having spa treatments help women who are in high stress jobs? What are some triggers that you may have in your high stress job? Maybe you're going to create a couple pins about that. And if you want to, you can repurpose some of that content that you have on Pinterest to Instagram. Again, you're going to be talking about, here are some of the pain points that a woman who is in a C-suite, a Black woman who's in a C-suite role may be having. Here are some of the ways that these spa treatments address these pain points. Here are some of the reasons why maybe even your employer should be paying for your spa treatments, especially if you are in the C-suite executive role. So you can repurpose your Pinterest content to Instagram. And if you want to go ahead and do that on LinkedIn as well, you can do posts about, 5 things that every C-suite executive, woman C-suite executive should know when it comes to her wellness and how spa treatments help them with that. So basically, you're going to stand, as the kids say, you're going to stand on business and just show up with the same message every single time. I know it may feel like, oh, I'm repeating myself. I'm saying the same thing over and over again. People are going to get, tired of this work tired of the content that I'm sharing. But when it comes to marketing and psychology, people need to see the same message 7 times for them to even pay attention. So it's not even registering with them. After 7 times, it's just like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I should pay attention. Maybe spa treatments are good for C-suite executives who are Black women. That's it. 7 times. They're just even tuning in after 7 times. They're not even taking your number down and being like, oh, I should reach out to this person.
That goes back to the consistency post, right? Or the consistency slide you were speaking about, like how you're showing up even within your messaging. you don't want to jump all over the place because, to your point, 7 points of reference or contact before they even notice what you're speaking about. But if you
Yeah.
keep switching it up, then you're probably slowing down that process.
Yes, and that's a great point about switching it up. And I know how this feels when you're developing your business, when you're developing your professional persona, and you get to the point where you're posting, and you're like, man, like, why is nobody paying attention? Like, why is nobody listening? And it's like you want to give up, but usually when you want to give up, like that's the point that you need to keep going because you're eventually somebody's going to pay attention and that messaging that because you know who you're trying to reach. Either if you're trying to reach a company, companies pay you to solve their problems. So talk about that problem that you're really good at solving. Somebody is going to pay attention. Or whether you have clients, if you're a business, they pay you to solve their problems. Again, somebody is going to pay attention. So keep going with your messaging. When you try something out for even 3 months, it's not enough time. Give yourself 6 months to a year to really get your messaging out. And I know it hurts to hear that because every time you go on YouTube and TikTok, they talk about, oh, I got this hack for you. I can do. No, there's no hacks. If there were hacks, I'd be a multimillionaire because I would just share all of them with everybody. It takes work and consistency.
So you've spoken about you leverage LinkedIn and TikTok. You've mentioned that, right? But then I've heard you mention Twitter quite a few times. If I'm sitting here as an attendee and I'm thinking about where I want to focus my time and attention on, how do I make a decision on where I'd like to show up?
That's a great question. It's really which platforms you're comfortable with being on. Honestly, like I told you, the one young woman who calls herself the Beyonce of marketing, she's very good on Twitter. There's somebody like me who uses LinkedIn a lot. There's a young woman on TikTok who I like to follow. Oh, she's a good for if you need some mindset tips. Actually, if you need some mindset tips, she calls herself the $1 million hypnotist, and who she will read you. She's very kind. She's very kind in her TikToks. But she's really good at that. That's a good mindset person to pay attention to. But it's really which platform do you feel comfortable with being on? But I will say, if you are looking for decision makers as a business owner or as a professional, the decision makers are usually on LinkedIn. So
Okay.
that's where you're really looking to build up. I'm talking about the decision makers with the money. You know what I'm saying? With like the contracts that you can get that are of higher level. If you're tired of the hamster wheel of going after the one-on-one clients, if you want to get those big decision makers with the budgets, you're going to usually capture them on LinkedIn.
Sure, yeah, it's kind of like, hang out in the place where the influencers and decision makers are, and
Yeah.
it could be LinkedIn indeed. All right, so listen, typically we go into Q&A much later in the programming, but I was looking into the Q&A and I'm like, you know what? We probably need to go there now so you can get some of these questions out the way and everyone won't be mad at me about not getting to the question. So I'd like to start in the Q&A. Listen, if you have questions for Portia, please drop them in the Q&A and we'll try to get to them. But I'd like to start with the one of the questions that I saw in here, and it's what are some prompts that you use to develop your personal brand? So it's kind of aimed towards you. I'm not sure what prompts they're looking for, but let's just talk about it a little. What did you do to kind of develop your brand?
Yeah, that's wonderful. So the first thing is I'll go back to what I ask people when they're developing their LinkedIn about section is to focus on what you do, how you do it, and why you do it so well. But taking a step back from that, you really got to figure out who is your ideal client, whether that is a company or a person, and what are their biggest pain points. So that really helps you develop your personal brand as the go-to person who solves this person or this company's biggest pain points. And I know you may be, oh wait, go ahead, Kenneth, you had.
No, I got it. So you're reverse engineering that process. You're kind of focusing in on the challenges that the person you're looking to attract may have.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah, because people pay you to solve their problems. Company pay you to solve their problems. So say for example, maybe I'll use another example of a person in the chat. Let's see another industry we have. We have somebody who is a corporate trainer, which is great. Okay, if you're a corporate trainer, that's phenomenal. Let's say that a company Well, one thing that a lot of companies are struggling with these days is working with Gen Z population, right? So you, as in developing your personal brand online, you will tell people that you are the go-to person who knows you're the Gen Z whisperer. You know how to make sure that senior leadership is connecting with Gen Zers, making sure that Gen Zs retain their talent because it costs an employee, I think it's like 7 times a person's salary to replace an employee. So it's much better for them to spend and invest the money in working with you as a corporate trainer than to go out and find somebody new. So basically, you're going to focus on those pain points. So ask yourself, what does this company or client struggle with the most? What would they be willing to invest in, fixing this problem or these issues? What have they already tried to do to fix this problem or issue? Ask yourself those questions, and that'll help you figure out what type of content to create and how to position yourself as the go-to person to solve this problem.
Got it. Got it. All right. You know what? I want you to think on this one. I'm going to answer a question while we go to this one, but it's how do you merge your professional brand and personal brand when they are so different? While you think about that, Felicia, I'd like to let you know that yes, this recording will be available online. You can see this and all other Digital Career Success Series recordings by visiting the Urban League Jobs Network YouTube channel. So, all right, Portia, let's talk about it. So, how do you merge your professional brand and your personal brand when they are so different? Or should you?
Yeah, that person, I would want to ask them specifically what would be the purpose of them merging those two brands. I think taking a step back, what's really important is deciding what is your end goal, like what is your mission. Whenever I work with people, I ask them, what is your end career goal? What is your end business goal? And then how can we help you get to that goal? It would be most important to ask yourself, like, why do you want to merge these two? Do you think it's going to help you move further in your career or like further in your business? That would be the first question. And then also, yeah, I would want to understand why they would want to merge the two, why they feel that the two are so different. And I wonder if they're struggling with showing up because they're afraid of something, like they're afraid of something happening. I think maybe that might be the thing. So if they want to follow up in the chat or in the Q&A, that would be great. And then we can come back to that one.
Yes, definitely. We'll come back to that. It's the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series with Portia Obeng, social media strategist and LinkedIn coach. We got her here for about 20 more minutes, so drop those questions in the Q&A. Portia, we're going to keep moving. Let's go on to the next question. I am bilingual and wonder if I should post one message in both languages or two separate messages, one English and one in Spanish. Thoughts on that?
That's great. Very good question. This works really well if you use Instagram, if you use LinkedIn. That's probably the two that that's probably the two that it works best. If you use LinkedIn or Instagram, what you can do is I know on LinkedIn they give you at least like 3,000 characters to use in a LinkedIn post, so you have plenty of space. What you can do is start with your LinkedIn post, whatever language you prefer first. If you want to do English first or Spanish, French first, whatever it may be. And then you can use emojis to create a kind of a line break in the middle of the post, and then do whatever the second language is so that you have both languages on the post. And then within your LinkedIn profile, you can have your LinkedIn About section. You can do the same thing. You only get 2,600 characters with spaces in your LinkedIn About section, but still you can break it up where you can have both languages in your About section. And then also there is a place, if you have like any, especially if you have like any certifications or anything in terms of your language, like you're a translator or anything like that, you want to make sure you also highlight that on your LinkedIn profile because there's spaces where you can highlight that as well.
All right, excellent. You know, I'm looking at this next question, and it started to make me think about this, just even for my business, right? So, um, this gentleman would like to know, this gentleman would like to know. He has a business where he helps adults improve their reading and writing skills to become economically independent. He's been using all of the social media strategies, now posting twice a week. However, he can't seem to grow followers, and he wants to know how he can figure out what he needs to do or what he's doing wrong, even to get more followers to buy products and services. Any thoughts on that? Just growing followers, promoting your products. What does he need to do?
Okay, so the thing is, followers doesn't equal sales. That's the biggest thing that people need to understand is that you don't need followers, you need the right followers. So it may be if he's on all the platforms, I would do an audit, a personal audit. Which platforms do you get the most engagement? And then you may want to focus on partnering with other organizations that are already doing this work. Maybe you want to offer, maybe you have maybe a one pager, maybe you do a webinar, something like that, partnering with these organizations that already do this work so that you can bring people in to your fold. And then also you maybe you want to focus on doing more direct messaging to people. I know for me on LinkedIn, if somebody makes a comment on any one of my posts, I will send them a direct message on LinkedIn, say, thank you for engaging with my content. Is there anything I can do to support your work? I will send them a message like that. So I would say first you got to do that audit because if you're on all the platforms posting twice a week, that's just a lot of content, especially if you're not getting the right people who you want to get. Again, I would say find some other organizations to partner with. And then probably the overarching thing is to also go back to the pain point and the suffering that the person is experiencing and speaking more to the pain points. A lot of the times as business owners, we talk about our products, but like I don't want to say I could care less about your product, but I have a problem. Speak to my problem. You know what I mean? Like, let me know how you can help me solve my problem rather than speaking of the features of the product. What does the product provide in terms of transformation? Sorry, either the product or the service. What does it provide in terms of transformation? You want to focus on that in your content. So hopefully that is helpful.
I'm sure. I'm sure. All right, next question. I have a creative business. It's making jewelry, but I would like to continue posting and being involved in activism on my business Instagram, especially uplifting Black stories. I was told I should separate the two.
No. So here's the thing. There's no blanket. You're going to get different advice from everybody else. There's no blanket type of advice. But I would say the person who, I don't know, I'm assuming that the person who told you to separate the two is probably thinking that like you don't want to scare away certain clients. But I tell people all the time that you want to scare away certain clients, right? Like you want the people who really appreciate the both, right? They appreciate that you're a jewelry designer and they appreciate that you are uplifting other Black jewelry designers. So you're going to track, one woman who I really like, she's also very good on TikTok. Her name is Letitia Lynch. She's very good on TikTok. But she talks about how you want to attract the aligned client. So you showing up as your full authentic self, that's a part of your brand. So you're going to attract the aligned clients. So I'm saying go ahead and do both. But again, there's no blanket answer to this.
So I feel like we're in a rapid fire Q&A, but I see this as your wheelhouse. You're just rolling right through these questions, so I can appreciate that. Listen, I want to also ask, and this is just from me, what tools and resources do you suggest that people use to kind of lighten the lift? Is there anything that you're using to maybe manage your post or create content? I know you had mentioned Chat GPT
Right.
earlier, but I know there's some other tools out there and resources. Anything you suggest or recommend?
Yes, lots of tools and resources. I keep it pretty simple in terms of my brainstorming. I'm a content cannon, as you can see. I'm coming up with content ideas during the session. So I don't need a lot in terms of brainstorming, but excuse me, yeah, you can use Chat GTP for brainstorming. There's also another one that I like called keywordtool.io. So keyword tool, one word, .io, because you can go and search for your topic on this platform and it'll show you the Google questions that people are actually asking as it relates to whatever you do. So for example, I usually go in and I type in social media and a lot of things that people are asking are what are the disadvantages of social media? How does social media advertising work? So then I can create content around those areas if that's my area of expertise. If somebody's asking about social media ads, I cannot help you. I'm all organic social. I do not do paid social. So essentially, I like keyword tool IO. In terms of your content calendar, you can use Excel, Google Sheets. I personally use Asana. It's a project management tool. You can use Notion. You can use Trello. In terms of editing your videos, if you want to create video content, you can use Ripley. You can use Wave Video. I use CapCut. That's a very popular one that's integrated into TikTok. A lot of people use that one. In terms of if you want to do a screen record, I do a lot of screen recording as well. You can use Vimeo or you can use Loom. If you want to schedule your content, I recommend using Later, Bufferly, or Planoly. When it comes to LinkedIn content, they have their own internal scheduling tool that I use that's better than any of the other ones. But if you're using Instagram or actually Instagram is really good with Later, Buffer, or Planoly. Those are some of the tools that you use. And then, of course, your AI tools, ChatGTP, which is only as good as the information that you give it. So make sure you're giving it good information. And then there's also Copyright AI. That's another one that's going to help you with captions. I just went through a lot of them. So,
All right. So listen, I was like, that's so much more than I anticipated. I appreciate it. I was hoping I was going to ask the production team at the National Urban League that's behind the scenes here to drop those resources into the chat, but there's no way they could have kept up with you. So again, these sessions are recorded and you can find them on the Urban League Jobs Network YouTube channel, and you can kind of tap in and hit pause and things of that nature to get all of the resources that Portia just offered you. And I know that they have dropped the link to that YouTube channel into the chat, so everybody should be okay.
I'll
Wow.
do some of them. I'll do some of them in the chat. I can still answer the questions. Yeah.
I know you can multitask over there, but we want to keep you focused. All right, look. So speaking of focus, if you have recently pivoted in your career and have only a few years experience in the new field, you think you have to do anything to overcome having vastly different job titles in your recent past on LinkedIn?
Yeah, that's a good question. So they've pivoted into they've already pivoted.
Correct.
New role. If they've already pivoted into the new role, it doesn't really matter about the job titles. All that matters is focusing on those transferable skills. Because if you're already in the new industry, it doesn't really matter about the past. If you focus on the transferable skills within those past job roles. So maybe you do want to go through your past job roles and look at those transferable skills that you're using in the new industry that you're able to highlight in your past job roles. I would focus on that.
So give me that again. All right. So your focus would be where?
I would say if you are focused on, so you have the new job already, right? So I would say focus on the transferable skills that you have in the new job that are applicable to the old jobs. So
Yeah.
go through the old jobs and highlight those transferable skills from the new jobs in the old jobs. That's really all you have to do. Don't worry about the titles.
Makes sense. Makes
Mhm.
sense. All right. So next question. I have an HR consulting firm. Presently have a small client base. I am now ready to grow more clients. I'm not currently on social media for my consulting firm. And how should I launch?
Yeah, so I think when people think about the word launch, they think about like a big thing. You don't need all of that. Just get started. Just choose your platform of choice and just get started. A lot of things that I do for my clients on LinkedIn is I do an introduce myself post. So you can do an introduce myself post on, it really works well on LinkedIn and on Instagram. Just write a post telling people about yourself. Hey, my name is Samantha, and I am a consultant. And here are the things I do. One, two, three. Those are the things I do. One, two, three. Very easy. And then say, I'd love to connect with more people. Please send me a connection request. That's it. That's the introduce myself post. Again, you just, hey, I'm Samantha. This is my title. I do one, two, three. Please connect with me.
So
And then,
basically,
oh,
don't
another thing.
complicate it.
Sorry, I didn't say about hashtags. So you want to use hashtags on LinkedIn and on Instagram. Those will help you. But it used to be back in the day, you had to use a bunch of hashtags. These days, keep it simple, like 3 to 5 hashtags.
All
That's
right.
it.
Hey, you know what, Cynthia? I know you dropped a question in. It says project management again. Help me out. I need more information. I'd love to answer your question, or at least have Portia answer your question, but I need a little more information. So, Portia, your people are using. How much time do you have? This is probably a difficult question because it's probably different for everyone. But how much time should people devote to boosting their social presence? Like, should that look like? Is that should they assign 2 hours a day, an hour a day, or how do you just view that? What's your view?
Yeah, I thought you were going to ask about how much time people should spend on boosting their posts, like how like Instagram or Facebook will ask you to boost a post. Don't do that ever. That's a waste of your money and time. So don't, that's one thing. But in terms of boosting their presence, yeah, 2 hours a day is a whole lot of time. Oh my goodness. That's why I say if you can develop the system where if you can just say, once a week for 30 minutes, I'm going to create as much content as I can as it relates to developing my personal brand and speaking about the things that I speak well. Set the timer for 30 minutes. Only work on the content creation for 30 minutes. And then from there, maybe you spend 10 minutes scheduling out the content, right? But if you can, I'm telling you, if you can just do 30 minutes a day on whatever content it is, and then use your tools to help you, that'll be really good. Because 2 hours a day that's too much.
Yeah. Okay. No, but Cynthia circled back. So it's the project management tool that was mentioned.
Oh, I put that in the chat. So I call them the project management tools, but you can use them to create a content calendar. I'll put it in the chat again. Calendar slash project management tools. So then when you create them as the calendar, you can click off that you've sent the post out. It's super helpful. So let me do project management tool. I'll put them in there again. So we have Asana, Trello. I mean, there's so many. There's Monday.com, and they all have built-in social media calendars in them that make it very easy for you. And then it especially helps if you want to hire a social media manager to come in and do the work for you. They can easily use these tools.
So let's move on to closing remarks. I really appreciate all the energy that you've given us today. I know that you've been on the move today. I know you're in demand, just always in demand. But do you have any closing remarks for the audience as it relates to creating their digital persona?
Yeah, I tell people all the time that, like I said in the beginning, mindset is probably going to be the most challenging thing for you. You're going to have to really focus on, speaking to yourself. There's actually a couple mindset people that I would recommend. I said earlier, the $1 million hypnotist. She's on TikTok. She's good for mindset. Mel Robbins. Mel Robbins is an OG mindset person. She's the one that talks a lot about discipline over motivation. There's also Dr. Tara Swart. Her last name is Swart. She also talks about mindset. That's really what's probably going to be your biggest barrier. And I tell people all the time is like maybe you're hiding or maybe you're feeling stuck because you're not feeling deserving or worthy of certain things, but you're more than worthy of all the things that you desire. It's just a matter of you being able to articulate like what it is that you do and communicate it clearly because you're more than worthy of the salary that scares you, the client price that scares you. You're more than worthy and deserving of those things. You just got to use the tools that are available to you to speak about the work that you're doing. Because like I mentioned before, there are people who need your help. There are companies who need your help. So make it very easy for them to hire you to help them solve their problems. If ever you're feeling nervous about, that post, that comment, that video of sharing that, just think about the other people who need your help. They're waiting for you and they're waiting on you. And that is all the information that I have.
I love it. I want to thank you for joining us today. You mentioned Mel Robbins, that 5 second rule. So if you're not familiar with Mel Robbins, please check out her TEDx talk on, or might even be a TED talk on the 5 second rule. I think it's amazing. I think it's something that really is life changing. If you really apply that to your life, you really will see results with that. I use it frequently. Let's go to the next slide. I want to thank you, Portia, for coming out and joining us today. This has been amazing. I knew it would be.
Thank
Uh,
you.
I'm sure our audience has said, you know what, I probably need to thank Nicole Smith for making the introduction and getting
Yes.
on my radar and having you here. So shout out to
Shout
Nicole.
out to Nicole. She's also a coach. Shout out to Nicole. Connect with her on LinkedIn too.
Listen, we're trying to get her on the DCSS to do what she does again. So I'm hoping to have her on in a few weeks. So yeah, please lock in with Nicole Smith and the whole team over there at Smitten. All right. So listen, Portia, let's lock in with you right now. How do people stay connected with you?
Yes, thank you so much for listening to my advice. I know it was rapid and fast. That's how I move, and that's how I work with my clients. So I do work with women one-on-one with their LinkedIn profiles. I have a done for you service. I also have done for you plus a 90-minute coaching session. Like y'all saw, I like to move fast. If you've been waiting to update your LinkedIn profile for 6, 7 months, I get it done in about 2 weeks. I don't like to play games. I want you to get out there. I want you to get the money that you deserve. So you can connect with me if you're interested in my one-on-one services. I also do corporate training, which I just did one this morning, where I come in and I help employees be the best brand advocates for their companies. Then I have my blog, which I haven't been doing well in updating my blog. I need to repurpose my content more. That would help me a lot. But anywho, and also if you have any questions, please feel free to email me or send me a message on LinkedIn. I'm pretty, actually, maybe I'm faster on email. Either way, I'll get back to your questions. And I greatly appreciate everybody who joined today. I know that your time is very valuable. So thank you so much for spending your lunch or maybe your breakfast with me. I truly appreciate it so much.
You know, we got those West Coast attendees as well, so they might be having breakfast. Yeah, indeed. Hey, listen, what can we find on the blog? Like, tell me when I go to the blog, what am I going to find?
Oh, yes. I typically post my musings about personal branding and social media on the blog post. It's a lot of advice, more of the mindset and career advice that I post on there. And then Charles asked if I work with men. I do. I've had one male client that has actually worked with me. But if you are interested in working with me, you can definitely reach out as well. But yeah, the blog post is more career advice, more mindset and career advice.
Hey, Charles, I appreciate you because I was going to ask you the same question. I might need to tap into Portia Services. Hey, listen, if you're looking to stay in touch with me, please don't hesitate. We do this pretty much every 2 weeks. It's the Urban League Jobs Network Digital Career Success Series. I'm your host, Kenneth L. Johnson, president of the diversity recruitment firm East Coast Executives. You can find me and on LinkedIn consistently. I call that home over there, Portia. I'm always on LinkedIn kind of doing what I do. So please tap in Instagram, LinkedIn, or just visit the website if you want to know a little more about the work we do at East Coast Executives. I'd like to thank all of you for attending today. I really, really appreciate it. I'd also like to thank the team at the Urban League, Wanda Jackson, Corey O'Donnell, Dave, Adanya, Kanjit, everybody over there that makes this kind of seamless for me. They really helped me look good, Portia, and I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to looking good on February 21st. Marcus Menifee, Jared Lynn. This is going to be amazing. I told you, we're going to speak about professional pivots, navigate career pivots with wisdom from our professional network. We will discuss career pivoting, professional communication, and negotiating salaries. If you know these two people like I do, you'll definitely want to tap in. This is going to be amazing. Again, I'd like to thank you all for joining us today for another version of the Urban League Job Network's Digital Career Success Series. I'd be remiss if I didn't once again thank our guest, Portia Obang, for just showing up all the way from DC, doing her thing, and helping us craft our professional persona digitally. Thank you so very much, Portia.
Thank you. Bye.
We'll do it again February 21st. Register for that now. It's going to be crazy. Thank you.